We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. This show will air Sunday, I believe. No, Sunday, Monday,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
it is Sunday.
Well, yeah, but I got a show. Yeah, well, I'm ahead on shows. That's where I'm at. So when this airs, you'll know, and you'll be excited about it because we had a young gentleman on maybe a week ago, less than a week ago. He's a 20-year-old Gen Z. He's in California. He's fixing to move to Canada and go to college. His name is Jay. A lot of folks liked him. I checked the comments. So we thought we'd have Jay back and talk about some of the happenings of this past week and see how he's feeling. Jay, you said you listened to the show with Will and it kind of shook you up a little bit. Is that true?
Yeah, I did hear that. I got a little alarmed by how quickly Will went from his earlier show where he talked about all this stuff, you know, this legislation getting held up in the House and in the Senate, and then all of a sudden it goes to like, oh, they're gonna replace the dollar with Bitcoin or something, and they're gonna just completely nuke the economy. It's like I kind of feel like I don't want to like rag on Will or anything like that, but you know, calm down a little. You know what happened to the earlier, like these guys are in an advisory role, the government's not going to listen to them, egos are egos. Like, first of all, remember your own words. That's all I'm going to say about that, really.
Well, Will is like a lot of guys. People love Will, and they have every right to love Will because he's very knowledgeable. He's very entertaining,
Oh,
and
obviously.
he comes in hot a lot. But whenever I've talked to Will, he can tend to go to the dark side a little bit, depending on what kind of mood he's in. I mean,
That,
right
yeah.
at, right after
Yeah.
the election, he was pretty upset, as you would be. He's a Latina
Well,
man
I
in
mean,
Georgia, for
yeah.
fuck's sake, and he was concerned about his own safety, and I get that. And then you heard that I kid him on the show. He says, "I'm going to take a couple of weeks off and just relax." Well, right after the election, he says, "I don't feel safe. I don't know if I can come back on the air again." 2 days later, he goes, "Fuck it, let's go." So Will's like a lot
I
of
mean,
people. They get in certain moods, and it seems
yeah.
dire, and you kind of go to the dark side. He's no different than anybody else, except me. I don't usually go to the dark side. So
Yeah.
I take the information I get from Will, depending on the mood he's in, depending on the mood of anybody I talk to. It sounds a little different, but I wouldn't worry about it. I think Will is pretty confident about what's ahead for the future, and he's smart enough to know what to expect. And we're not going to change to Bitcoin, and Congress can jam everything up. In spite of what you might have thought, you got to go into this assuming we're going to be okay. And
Yeah.
I believe that.
Just really quick, I just realized it's really obvious on camera if you kind of look at it. The constantly, like, I'm constantly doing like things with like my lip here. Kind of looks weird on camera. The thing that's on my lower lip, it's not dust or herpes or anything like that. I got like a injury, irritation, something on my lip. We're not going to talk about it. I'm fine. But anyway, into the. I'm just
Yeah,
saying that
don't
because it
worry.
looks really obvious on camera.
It doesn't really look that obvious on camera. I mean, I've come on here with I get cold sores from time to time. I got this spot on my nose that everybody claims I got can't. I get people picking me apart all the fucking time. I don't care. I'm not a male model anymore. No, I never was, but I
I
don't
mean,
worry about it.
I never was either, really.
You know, I was never posed with that question. Do you want to be a male? No, never was. Anyway, so what's on your mind this week? You seemed anxious to come back on. Is there some things that are
Yeah.
eating at you?
Yeah, there's some stuff. For one thing, I wanted to say there's some stuff I got wrong in the first episode.
Well,
And when I
thanks
say I
for
got it,
coming by. Go ahead.
I mean, if life was that way, so much would be simpler. No, as I got somebody in the comments who's from Canada apparently saying that the Conservative Party are more like MAGA than the
Mm-hmm.
Democrats are, and I hear that. Okay, I was mostly going off of like a historical basis. Like
Okay.
historically, it looks like the Conservative Party is more like the Democrats, and the Liberals are to the left of them, and then the New Democratic Party is to the left of them, and then the Green Party's to the left of those guys. That's that's what's kind of sad. I realized about the political situation in the states is that we either have like the general right and the general left, nothing in between. So
Right.
the whiny loser far left get turned off by what has to basically cover everything, and then the really radical right would always sit out every election until they brought in a nutcase like Donald Trump. And it's like, Will has talked about this before. Like the founding fathers put it in like we have the electoral college, we have the presidency, the this and the that, because they didn't want parties. Well, we got that anyway, and it's like, why couldn't we just go the parliamentary route, like Canada or Britain or all these other places? It's like, why do we have to stick with this bullshit, outdated thing that only benefits the minority rule? It's like, why are we stuck with that?
Well, we're stuck with a lot of outdated, archaic shit.
Oh
Filibuster,
God,
the two
yeah.
party system. There's a lot of it. A lot of it has to do. It's funny. We got all these people that are constitutional originalists. What the Constitution originally said, and that sounds so stupid when you've got a document that's frequently amended. How can you be the
I
originalist
mean, yeah,
if it's a fucking amended?
yeah. It's like the thing was designed for you to be able to add shit and onto it and take stuff off of it. It's like,
Right.
what's the point of being an originalist if it's designed to be flexible like that? Like, if you've seen Hamilton, like they talk about it briefly, but this stuff went through a whole bunch of stages before they got to where we are now. They started with these random articles of confederation. They saw this like, fuck this shit, replaced it with the Constitution, and then that thing was a mess the first time around, and they reworked it and reworked it and reworked it, and now here we are.
If you could revive Thomas Jefferson, he'd probably go, "You're still using that motherfucker? I wrote that 300 years ago." No,
If I
come up with something
if I
better.
revived if I revived Thomas Jefferson, he'd probably just immediately kill him again for raping a 12-year-old black girl.
Well, there's that too. There's that too.
Yeah, if I
Um,
found a way to revive Thomas Jefferson, it'd be really hard to not just kill him again.
yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, I think when we look at politicians in general, it's always been the case. Once you give them this elite status and they believe they're special, stop fucking with your hair. It's fine.
I always have this either like washed up pop star or hobo look. It's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. You're starting to come off like Hawk on TikTok and it's annoying. Your hair is
All right.
fine.
And then I have this
But
fucking skylight forehead here. I
I worked a
self-deprecate too much. I'm sorry.
no, that's all right. That's all right. Um, but it seems a problem we've had from the beginning of this country to even now. These people get power, they get a little money, they're elites, and they feel like they can do anything they want. And that's always been a problem. It's become more apparent in the last few years because it's been brought to the surface. A lot of the stuff that's going on now has always been going on. It's just been under the cover of whatever, and the media hadn't really
Yeah,
dealt
they
with
they
it or
hit it.
hadn't seen
Yeah.
it. I think in one respect, the fact that this is coming to light, this may be good. It's hard to go through it and to see all of this, but at least it gives us the opportunity to try to figure out a way to fix it and flush this
Yeah.
bullshit out. And I think politicians, the way they are now, they are antiquated. We've It's like we almost need an entirely new system in order to accommodate a country that's vastly different from 250 years ago.
We do. And looking at it, maybe the parliamentary system wouldn't exactly fix all the problems we have, but it certainly would be a good start. I mean, for one thing, it would give so many people, because I look at, let's face it, the vast majority of the people in this country, people want to talk about like, oh, this guy won because the vast majority of people are stupid, or the vast majority of people are insane or evil or whatever, yada yada. No, there we have a chunk of this country that is stupid, insane, and or evil, whatever you want to call it, but it's only about a fourth of the people. The other fourth are good people, but over half, or the vast majority, just do not care.
Right.
They the parties do not fit what their beliefs are. So this is, whatever you want to talk about, the libertarians, the far left, everyone under this route, they look at all these two parties that we have right now. They're the ones that have really the any sort of support or backing or whatever you want to call it, and they're like, that doesn't fit me. I'm not subscribing to that. And then we have a huge chunk of the electorate that doesn't vote because they don't have their own party. Is that
I think
frustrating? Sure, but at the same time, we need more parties, and we need
I
them to
think the
have actual
problem
support.
I think the problem we have is the same problem we have that I think we have with churches. I believe in God. I'm a Christian. I don't like churches because churches are run by people, and people can be inherently bad. They can be greedy. They can be power hungry. They will rationalize anything they do to be right. And that's what we get in politics too. We're doing it for the good of the country. Oh, by the way, I make $1 million on the side. Everybody has an agenda that affects them personally, and dealing with the country or helping the country and helping the people always comes secondary. And if helping the country inflicts some kind of cost to them, they won't do it. Um, what we have to do is try to find people that have some integrity and inherently do the right thing for the people before and above themselves. But there ain't many of those people. That's the fucking problem.
That's true. Um, yeah, that is true. That is true.
It'd be
I did
nice
want to say,
if we could just do something online for everything we have to decide and everything we have to do. Just have a vote on everything. Now I know that would be impossible to do, but say, do we want to pass?
yeah,
Do we want to ban TikTok? Okay, everybody vote. Majority wins. Simple majority wins. Done deal. Nobody can bitch about it because. But now we got all these people wanting to get rid of TikTok. Say now, 170 million people use TikTok, but the politicians want to get rid of it. That doesn't make
they
sense.
don't.
They're supposed to be representing the country, and more than half of the country say they like it.
You know what it is? The politicians don't want to get rid of TikTok. I don't care what anyone says. Banning TikTok is not in these people's interests. What they want to do is they want to force ByteDance, which is the company that owns it, based out of China. They want them to sell it to a company in the Americas so they can control TikTok. It's not about
Yeah,
getting rid of it. It's because they want to control it.
I agree with you. I agree with you. It's about control. And it's TikTok. They can't control it. A lot of stuff came to light in the last 4 years through people like myself and other folks like myself that they can't control. We saw what they've done to media. Media has been pretty much tainted on all levels, whether it be left side or right side. And they don't have the power to do it with TikTok. And it's not just TikTok. I like YouTube. I got banned off of Facebook, so that's not a problem anymore.
Well,
But
fuck Facebook, but yeah.
face 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 being banned on Facebook is like being kicked out of a old west saloon. Nobody goes there anyway anymore. So who the fuck cares?
Yeah, it's like, or no, it's like being thrown out of a stable. Like,
Yeah,
just a barn full of horse shit. It's like, well, fuck, I didn't want to be in there anyway, so why are you kicking me out when I was headed for the door anyway? You didn't have to kick me in the ass on the way out.
yeah. We're going to a blacksmith shop and saying we won't extend you credit anymore. Who fucking cares?
I don't
Um,
need you guys. I'm going to the mechanic.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go buy some rubber. Um, so so so
I
so
was just laughing. It's so random.
yeah, I do a lot of random shit. My kids often tell me that. But that's the thing about humor. You come up with something out of the fucking nowhere and people go, it surprises them, so they laugh. Um, are you feeling any better? Last time we talked to you, you seem, a little concerned and worried about the country. We were talking about this beforehand, how you got to go into things with some confidence and some positivity. But
Yeah,
you've got some, you talking about Will, but you've got some negative feelings about this country too and where we're at.
yeah. I I got some words for my country because I am America. I am so pissed at you right now.
I am too.
I These words I would have to say for the United States of America, just to clarify what my situation is. I put my trust. It's like Will said. I fucked up. I put my trust in you. You betrayed that trust in the most vile way imaginable. And to be honest, to be frank, I am leaving you to my country. I leave you because you have left me.
I get that.
And
And I don't
it's
disagree.
the American Idiot song. It's
Yeah.
the play nation controlled by the media. The subliminal mindfuck America. That's
Yeah.
the actual lyrics.
Yeah. And that's exactly right. We're seeing the backlash for the media after this November 5th election. And maybe people are finally coming to realize that the media is not our friend. They might be entertaining.
No, they never have been.
They might be able to sell you soap, but telling you the truth or telling you all the facts is not in their game. I've said before, the media, I think, is largely responsible for the divisiveness in this country because depending on where you go, you get a different story, a different slant to the story. So if you watch one network and I watch another network, we can literally sit down and talk and not know what the other one's talking about. And it's all the
That's
same
true.
issues. It should be all the same facts, but if you don't know the facts I know, or vice versa, we can't have a conversation. That's how you get divisiveness.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly. And part of the thing about to a certain point, the divisiveness is on purpose
Oh,
because
yeah.
if we're divided, guess who we can't go after? The billionaires, the oligarchs, the people in power. That's why the Republican Party uses immigrants and this fear tactic to win elections. It's like, oh, those, you said this before. Oh, those brown people. Oh, that
Yeah.
fentanyl. Oh, these trans folks. Oh, those gay folks. Oh, this woke. Oh, they need a boogeyman. They need this fake straw man enemy to distract from who the real enemy is, which is fucking them. They are
Yeah.
the enemy, and they need this fake enemy to distract everyone from that.
The last thing corporate America, the media, or politics or politicians want is a unified country. Because as a unified country, we have all the power. Ironically, that's what the Constitution wanted, for us to have the power. Do you think that, with this whole CEO shooting and people upset, well, people are cheering about the shooting. I don't know if there's cheering about it, but it did bring into the conversation the behavior and the abuse by big health corporations. And it's not just health corporations, it's all fucking big corporations. Um, People complain about the shooting. Oh, there's got to be a better way. And I've said before, look, man, if there's a better way, tell me. I'm not saying I approve of what happened there, but you can't exactly sue a multi-billion. I can't sue a multi-billion-dollar organization and hope to gain any traction. It just doesn't work. And this is the
No,
problem. This is the problem with these people. They have to understand you put people in a corner. They don't have any options. So this kind of thing is going to happen. I'm sorry, I don't
exactly.
like it. I don't want it. But what options do people have if their family is dying because of the
They don't have
abuse of a
anything.
fucking health? No.
They don't have what you will. Others have talked about this before. The worst comes out in all of us when we have nothing to lose. And when we
Absolutely.
have nothing to lose, I mean, we'll fucking do anything. It goes back to that old sort of response from nature, the fight or flight response, the prey reflex, all this other shit where you're backed into a corner, you don't know what the fuck you're going to do, so you don't know how to use the sticks, you just whack everything.
Right. Right. Exactly. You got to save your life. You got the fight or flight mentality, and there's nowhere to run to. So you got to fight, and it's going to get ugly when that happens. Let me ask you this:
Yeah.
this murder of the CEO, and now people are finally talking about what these healthcare corporations are doing. Do you think we have enough of attention span to hold on to that and perpetuate this conversation? Because this is a conversation we've needed for a long time, but nobody talked about it. But now it's thrown in our face. Do we continue to do it and accomplish something about it? Or does it just slide away and become yet another thing that we're distracted with another shiny item.
Damn. I mean, you want to talk about a good fucking question. On the one hand, the noise and outcry and, you know, Ben Shapiro getting ripped apart in his comment section and all that, it gives me hope that maybe we do, but fuck, after what happened in November, people voting for a convicted felon and just forgetting about January 6th, forgetting about the rape case, the fact that he did basically nothing during his presidency, all this shit, the fact that people forgot all that shit happened. I don't know. I really don't know. I think it all depends on like if there the if everyone unites enough to keep it going.
Well, I would say something else here. We can't count on mainstream media to keep talking about it.
No,
They
you
actually
can't
have
on
been
them for anything.
they have been talking about it some, and I've been surprised by that. And now they're kind of going after the healthcare because they see blood in the water and there's
Well,
money
yeah,
in blood.
it's
But
all about the show, the next big scoop like that.
right, well, that's why I think it's important for people like me, like you, like anybody who's on social media, that we keep this in the narrative. People are getting abused by health corporations. We have a system with our healthcare that is ridiculous compared to every other industrialized nation in the country. And why is that? It's not because we can't figure out a way to do it. Fuck, if Sweden can figure it out, if Canada can figure it out, we can figure it out. We choose not to because there's too much money with the healthcare providers, big pharma, and the politicians. So now that we know it can be done and we know why it's not being done, we've got to figure out a way to rip that from their cold, dead hands and fucking take control of it. And the only thing we can really do is continue to talk about it and piss more people off.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um anyway, I heard that. I got to say also, here's my 2 cents on the CEO shooting.
Please.
I feel some sympathy for the family or the people that cared about him because death is always harder on those you leave behind. I have some
Right.
sympathy for those people. It's a little limited because of the context and, you know, extenuating circumstances and all that. For the guy himself, I'm not celebrating. It's just like, guy got shot and you did all this other stuff. Like, what else is new? Like it, I'm not celebrating it, but I can't bring myself to feel bad for the guy just because
No.
he was a piece of shit and was doing all this terrible stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean, if we're going to fly a flag for this guy and feel sorry for him, I think it's only fair that we take his term as CEO and honor and cry for the hundreds or maybe thousands of people that have died unnecessarily under his watch by way of United
Yeah,
Health.
because
I mean,
you
I
denied the
can feel
claims.
right. I can be sorry for the guy getting shot. I have a feeling I wouldn't probably like the fucker based on what I've read about him. But, to get shot in the street, that's a horrible thing. But we really have to look at those other innocent people that nobody's ever heard of, infants, elderly people, family members that have died unnecessarily because of the cold hearted healthcare group, United Health, worried more about making money than people's lives, which is ironic. I've always said this: insurance companies piss me off generally because they will say, here, pay us money and we'll protect you. And then when they don't protect you, or my running joke with this is comparing it to McDonald's. You go, this, do you drive a car?
No, I don't. And sorry, folks. I know I'm 20 years old. You know, you don't drive a car. These days, it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'll be straight with you guys. I have ADHD. If any of you have ever seen the movie Up, that one dog that Doug the dog looking out the window, squirrel. That's
Yeah,
me. Like
I
that.
got you.
I see a thing outside the road. I'm going to crash the car. Somebody's going to get hurt. All right. I don't drive because it's a safety risk.
I got you. Well, my point is that when you're a young man and you've got insurance, car insurance, by virtue of you being young,
Well, my brother does.
cost
So
you it
yeah.
costs you a lot of money to insure your car. I went through years paying a lot of money for insuring my car. and they say, you pay us the money, this big amount of money, and we will protect you. But the moment you need the service you paid them for years and years by having an accident or something like that, they pay for the accident, sure. And then they come back and say, well, now, because you had that accident, we're going to have to raise your premiums. And I liken that to going into McDonald's and saying, hey, I want a Big Mac. Here's $10. Sitting down at the table, taking a big bite out of it, and them going, wait, you're going to eat that? Okay, if you're going to eat the Big Mac, it's now $15. That's exactly what insurance companies do.
It's
Insurance
so
companies
dumb.
it's a fucking scam. And so I don't feel sorry. I may feel sorry for the guy's family and friends and stuff like that, but I don't feel sorry for the insurance company because I mean, Jesus
No.
Christ, their guy gets shot down in the street, and an hour later they're still carrying on the fucking meeting.
They're
They
still
don't
they're
give a
still
shit.
business as usual. It's
Yeah.
like I just look at that and I'm like, okay, now I'm going to get a little philosophical here. This
Okay.
is I'm going to be straight with everyone. I have never seen the phrase having a heart of gold as a good thing. The way I
Okay.
inter- the way I interpret the phrase, so and so has a heart of gold or these people have a heart of gold, I hear that and I think this person has a heart that is full of wealth, that is full of money, and that's
Okay.
all they care about.
No,
Hell,
there's a lot of
oh,
that. There's a lot of that.
hi, cat.
Oh, I see you stealing Eric's thunder. I don't know if you've ever watched
No.
Eric. Eric has a dog, Cecilia, cute dog, sweet dog.
Oh, I don't think
But
I've caught that.
well, Eric's been on the show, and the dog will come up and lick his face and stuff like that, which is fine. I love dogs. I love animals. I love all animals. So I just do a show with animals if they could talk. So that would be fine. Um, I got to ask you about because you're young and you understand these types of things probably more than I do. This whole fucking drone thing on the East Coast. This has gotten really
I
weird.
All right. I don't really know anything about that. It's it kind of just I'm tempted to really just not be into it because it kind of feels like the whole tabloid news salacious, whatever's the biggest, shiniest, sexiest scoop or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, it's not my main
I know some
focus
people
either.
are concerned about it. Sorry about all the rubbing cat hair in my face. Anyway, uh, it kind of just seems like they're waving something shiny in front. Can you not? I gotta be able to talk to Mike. Damn it, cat. All right. Sorry.
It's a
Sorry.
It's a distraction. That's kind of what I think too. It's a
Yeah, that's
distraction
kind
of
of what
some
it
sort.
what it sounds like. Yeah, and it's hell. That's all we're gonna do is just put this up on the screen. Just hell.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Anyway, things on the East Coast. It's really this cat. I'm so sorry. Um,
This
it
segment's
kind of
going to
feels
end up
just
as this segment's going to end up on YouTube for about 20 seconds and be viral.
yeah,
Another cat
probably
video. Another cat video.
yeah. Um,
Yeah,
kind of just seems like a distraction. Like it's just it's there to create noise. It's there to create confusion, maybe a little fear as well. I doesn't it seems like just like, oh, what's that behind you? And there's a lot. It feels like a lot of like that.
yeah, yeah. Another conspiracy theory. And I didn't give it much weight, but I heard something yesterday that got me
Oh
thinking.
boy.
And I don't know if you know anything about this. There is a executive order that Donald Trump put out, 1358, something like that. And it was basically trying to protect the country from influence from foreign nations in elections.
Wasn't that a
Okay.
fucking oxymoron?
It is. And he put it out there, and that executive order still is intact. Um, and I would go on and explain it to you. And I'll just give people a tip. If you're on TikTok, there is a creator. I'm going to try to get him on the show because there aren't many creators that catch me and go, fuck. But this guy's handle is Revolution Washington, D.C., I think it is. And he explained
Yeah.
the executive order, all the things that this was supposed to protect against. And ironically, it was all the things that Donald Trump has done, or we thought that the Russia or
Of
China has
fucking
done.
course, yeah.
And so the guy tells the whole thing. I go, fuck, Donald
Ow.
Trump did that. That's that's standard fare for Donald Trump to fuck himself over. So then it caught my attention, and I thought he said, "This is all going on. The first 45 days after the election, there's an investigation, and then on the 45th day, they announce what they found." And the next 45 days, they decide what they're going to do about it. So it takes you from November 5th to February 3rd or something like that. So he's saying that's why they're so quiet. They're using that executive order, Donald Trump's executive order, done the investigation. There's no doubt some kind of evidence of Russian interference, certainly. We'd heard about that there might be some things going on in NATO about
Oh yeah, the
an
Article
Article
5
5.
thing.
Yeah, it seems I'm still hard pressed to jump on a bandwagon of a conspiracy theory because, I mean, fuck, I said Kamala was going to win and I was sure about it. I would have bet the
Well, we
house
all,
on it.
yeah.
But, but the way this guy described it, I hope I can get him on the show because I'm a hard sell on a lot of things. But when he said this, I go, fuck, that is a little weird. I'm still not buying that anything's happening, but I could see how it could based on what's there. So I don't know. Do you know anything about that stuff?
I basically know what you just laid out.
Okay.
And on the one hand, you don't want to put too much, yeah, like I said, you don't want to put too much investment, too much effort into conspiracy theories. But at the same time, I don't know, those pieces are kind of lining up. It's like,
They are
I would
kind of
say,
lined up.
here's what I would say. Don't don't pick either side.
That's what
Just
I'm doing.
stay in the middle. It's like if the evidence starts to, ow, you you bit me. Sorry, she doesn't usually do that. Anyway, don't give it too much credence. Don't give it too much credit. Um, but at the same time, if it looks like the chips are falling that way, fuck it, go all in.
I tell people, God damn it, I hope it happens. I would love to see that happen. I would love to see the
Oh
rug
yeah,
pulled out from under Donald Trump at the last minute and then let him lose his shit. But here's my problem with it. Did Russia meddle in the election? Did Donald Trump cheat? I can almost guarantee you that
oh
happened.
yeah, he for sure, yeah,
And that executive order is what it is. I heard him tell me and then I read it myself. I go, fuck, that's interesting. My problem with this is will the Democrats and the DOJ do anything about it? Because even if it's all real and it's all possible, I don't have a lot of confidence in the Democratic Party based on the last 4 years.
yeah, me neither. I don't know what to say. I don't have a lot of faith in them either, but I do have to say, look, right now it's kind of just up in the air. Like
Yeah.
the thing is wobbling in the middle. It could go either way. If it looks like it's not that way, then we're like, but there wasn't anything to that. If it looks like it is real, though, like we'll throw the thing behind it.
Yeah, I'll jump behind it if this happens to fall. And the way this guy laid out the timing, we'd be talking about December 20th as and that's a few days away when they would come up with a determination as to whether or not something happened. That's the 45-day investigation. I'm hoping against hope it's true,
Yeah,
but but
I
but
would appreciate that as well. Yeah,
but I always say we've never seen anything like that in history. It would be the first. But of course, that's been nothing but the case with everything going on in the last 8 years. We see time after time things that we've never seen in history. So to gauge it based on what's happened in history, we can't do that. So when somebody can come out with the craziest thing in the world, and I go, well, maybe because we've seen some crazy shit.
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not really religious either way. I'm a Unitarian Universalist, but also I'm like kind of agnostic. So I'm like, the furthest left. If I'm religious, I'm the furthest left it's possible to be under a religion, and if I'm not, I'm just kind of that way anyway. I'm agnostic. I got to tell you, this past election really felt like someone cut a last minute sort of Faustian bargain with some kind of eldritch horror at the last minute. Like things were going to shit. So somebody's like, how about I just sell my soul to, this dark god or whatever, and it'll flip everything in our favor. It was that unexpected and that confusing to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. There was something weird about this whole thing.
Yeah.
You try, my failing in picking Kamala Harris to win this is I was trying to use common sense and logic. And that's usually what I do
Yeah.
whenever I look at anything. That seems to be the safest route. But apparently, common sense and logic didn't come into play here. There was something
No.
bigger or weirder than this. Whether it would
Well,
be whether it be the Democrats stepping on their own dick or some kind of sketchy thing happening that we just don't understand yet.
there's a bunch of different things. It's Democrats fucking themselves over. Um it's the shady stuff as well. Part of it is the insanity, greed, and addiction to celebrity of the American people.
Yeah.
Like, for God's sake, America, stop fucking worshiping billionaires. Stop worshiping rich people. You're not going to get a cut of these people's money for worshiping them. That's what you think is going to get, because that's what Reagan said. That's what Reagan preached. That's what he put out. And you bought it. You've been falling for this same exact shit for 40 fucking years. Stop it. Just
and
stop.
and what people don't understand is these people are billionaires because they already stole the money from you. They already took it from you.
Yeah.
That's why they're billionaires.
These people are billionaires because, like I said, hearts of gold. These people have nothing inside them but this endless black pit that they have to fill with something. And they fill it with fucking money.
Yeah.
You are making the mistake of assuming these people are human, or if they are, that they care about anything but continuing to fill that hole that is never going to go away.
Yeah. Yeah. It's um a lot of people are talking about when Donald Trump takes over on the 20th of January, assuming that actually happens. A lot of people say it's not. At this point, I can't say anything other than he's going to take over because I haven't seen anything that's going to change that. But there's a lot of people who think the world's going to end on the 20th. I had one woman in comments was talking to me or on a live I did, said, I'm in Missouri and I heard my oil's going to be shut off on January 20th. I go, she goes, it's cold here. I go, you think it's cold there? I live in fucking Minnesota. It's colder than shit here. And what she was talking about was this whole tariff on Canada. In Canada, the premier saying we're going to cut off all oil and electricity. And she's sitting here terrified, thinking on the 20th, her heat's going to be shut off and she's not going to know what to do. It's not going to work out that way. It's just not. Nobody can
No.
afford to do that. I explained to her, I said, look, the Republicans aren't going to allow that to happen because it would be
No, they
devastating
won't.
to the party. And Canada
Also,
can posture all they want, but if they cut off all the oil and stuff to us, they're going to go broke. They're going to have no money. So both sides
well,
lose in this situation.
they would probably switch to another country if I'm being honest, but yeah, it would be difficult, painful, all that other thing. That's another thing, by the way. Quick bit of, daily Canadian politics for all of you. You're talking about the premier of Ontario, which is the guy that did this. His name is Doug Ford. He's
Right.
basically a Trump-la-fuck egotistical dipshit, but he's the Canadian equivalent of an egotistical Trump-la-fuck dipshit. So
Right.
still, um, I know some of this is confusing to some people. Canada does not have states like we do. They have provinces, and the provinces are run by premiers. Because here in the United States we have governors that run the states. In Canada they have premiers, which is kind of like a local prime minister. Because again,
Right.
they have a prime minister, we have a president. They have a premier, we have governors. Sorry, they have premiers, we have governors. Anyway,
Right.
sorry. You also have to take account this guy Doug Ford saying this. You have to take that with a grain of salt because like I said, the guy is a bloviated, egotistical douchebag. In the same vein that he's not unlike Donald Trump or that other guy I mentioned last week, Pierre Polyev,
Yeah.
Peter Hair
Yeah.
Hair. that I mentioned
Yeah.
before. He's not unlike that crowd.
Well, and that's what people have to understand. You would presume somebody like this premier, Doug Ford, would be in line with Donald Trump because, like you say, he's
Yeah,
kind of a Trump the fuck mode. But that's what happens when you get two blowhards like this that are seemingly friends. Once one steps on the other's toes, then they're fighting amongst each other. This is the big problem with the
yeah.
Republican Party. I'm stronger than you. No, I'm stronger than you. And once you push back on one of them, now they're fighting amongst themselves.
If I'm
And
being
that's a
honest,
consideration.
this is so fucking immature. If I'm being honest, sometimes it's not like I'm stronger than you. I'm stronger than you. It kind of just feels like I got a bigger dick than you. Is what this whole what this whole thing
Pretty,
is. It's
that's
just
all it
one
ever is
giant.
with Donald. That's all it is ever with Donald Trump. And apparently, from what Stormy Daniels said, that's a big fucking lie. He didn't have a bigger dick than anybody.
I'm gonna have to wash my eyes out after this. Wash my fucking brain out. Oh man.
Yeah, yeah. That's essentially what it is. It's like a cowboy mentality. You're going to do what I want to do, or I'm going to shoot you, or we'll hang you. And that's well and good for the movies, but it doesn't work in real life. But
Yeah.
they continue to try to do it. Donald Trump is
If
constantly having a dick measuring contest with everybody. He confronts them, he tries to intimidate them, and unfortunately, he hasn't done a very good job intimidating Mexico or Canada.
No. That's also another thing that's coming in since last week. Do you know why Donald Trump has been bullying Justin Trudeau or trying to bully him because it hasn't fucking worked?
No,
Is because Melania has a fucking crush on him. Have you seen have you seen that he's seen her? She makes goo goo eyes at him. Every time
yeah.
they're seen together, she's making goo goo eyes at Justin Trudeau. And you know that pisses the fuck out of old Donnie. You know that really gets to him.
Well, yeah, it probably does get to him, but I will tell you this: when you're a woman, any woman, and you happen to be married to that piece of shit, hell, you and I could probably pull Melania
God.
because the comparison is fucking horrible. But I personally think Melania isn't much better than Donald Trump. To be perfectly honest,
Oh
she knew
no.
what she was getting into. This was all about money and fucking citizenship.
She's a hollow, vapid gold digger. Like that's all she is a hollow, vapid gold digger. Heart of gold, like I said before. All I care about is wealth.
Yeah, yeah. I don't have much sympathy for her. I don't have any sympathy for um, Barron. He's an adult now. But when you look at his
I
other
don't
off,
really know anything about him, so I can't really say much.
well, yeah, no, I don't know much about him either, other than I've seen his two brothers and his sisters, and if that's
They're all just meth heads, basically.
yeah, if that's any indication of how he's going to turn out. There's a line in a song, "Kill it before it grows," and I don't think there's any redeeming values from anybody with the name Trump, except Mary Trump, who's trying to fight against
Yeah.
her
Well,
uncle.
and Fred Trump the third, who wrote that. He was the guy that wrote that book about like
True,
disability and about how horrible
true.
his uncle was, and like saying something like, "Oh, somebody should just die and like save people money." It's like that sounds like something that sounds like something Ebenezer Scrooge would say.
Yeah.
Like it's so fucking evil. It's just like you really have no soul, do you, dude? Like you're just heart of gold. Like I said before, they only care about money. That's the only thing in their heart is just money, wealth, gold. That's all they see. They got gold tinted glasses. They look everywhere. All they see is gold.
And I wonder who told Donnie that a gold toilet was a flex.
Well, I mean, it certainly describe sums up his whole life, career, presidency, all of that other thing pretty well. It's a turd
Yeah,
painted gold.
a turd painted gold. Absolutely. We're talking to Jay. He's a 20-year-old Gen Z. He's living in California. He's moving to Canada to go to college. And we spent a lot of time talking about your future path to Canada.
Yeah.
And a lot of people kind of resonated with that. I think there's a lot of people that are thinking to themselves, oh, it's going to be so horrible here. I want to move to Canada. And I know you had some other things to say about this whole plan of yours and your perceptions of Canada.
Yeah. I wanted to start by adding another reason to move up there. Um, this mainly concerns people in my age range. Um, there's a lot of talk about like they may be planning to start a war with Iran, or Trump is going to use some law from the days of the Iraq War to justify a war with Iran because he wants to. Let's face it, he wants to wipe Iran off the fucking map. He hates them because he thinks
Why?
that because he killed their top general in that missile strike because he thought he thought they embarrassed him on the world
That's right.
stage, and now they hate his ass,
And they want to
and
kill
he
them.
thinks they're out to get him. Yeah,
They are
and
out
he
to get
wants to
them.
kill. Yeah, and he wants to kill them first, and it's like I feel a lot like the people who dodged the draft in Vietnam did. Like, no, you want to go to war with Iran. I don't care. Do whatever. I will not be part of your imperialist cult army. I will not do that.
Right. Right. Yeah, exactly. And I grew up during the Vietnam era. I was too young to go to Vietnam. I remember the protest and people saying,
Yeah,
I don't want to fight in this war. And then, of course, all the old people said, you're a coward. You're running to Canada and all this stuff. But when it was all said and done, we realized that was kind of a stupid bullshit war. We lost 50,000 people unnecessarily, and nobody paid the price for that other than those people that died. Now, I get that. I don't know that we're going to see a war start. I just don't think we're the same kind of country that would get in another conventional war, which is
I
scary
don't
in its
think the
own right.
war. Yeah, I don't think the military would go for it, but I don't know. With people this insane, this stupid, this evil, I don't know what to think anymore. Anyway, all I know is during the Vietnam War, Canada took in a couple tens of thousands of draft dodgers from Vietnam, and they just stayed there, and they never kicked them out. And I'm thinking, hmm, you know, uh, sips tea, takes notes. So they're
Yeah. Um, you're going to Canada. I know you're going to go to college there, and you could go to college down here. Do
yeah.
you feel like there's a certain amount of fear in you to make you go to Canada, or is it some kind of resolve, or is it some kind of statement? What's your mindset when you decide to go to Canada?
There's a little bit of all three.
Okay.
On a certain level, it's like fear of like, well, I mean, after this guy is dead and gone, what's next? It's like I'm not so much afraid of this guy now as I am like who I am a little afraid, but not enough to be irrational. But my biggest concern is what comes after this. If this country is stupid and psychotic enough to elect a madman that they've already been through 4 years of for a second time, what the fuck are we gonna do next? Are they going to run a visible Manchurian candidate from another country and have people vote for this guy as well? Like
Yeah.
what? I just don't. There's just so much I don't know. That's part of it. Part of it is there's a little bit of fear in it. The vast majority of it is disgust. America, I am fucking disgusted with you. Like I thought I could trust you. I could not. You you had the chance to fix all of this. You did not. It's just I feel like I'm constantly like every fucking time I think I can rely on my country. Every time I think I can trust you, you pull the rug out from under me. You betray me. You stab me in the back. And it's like at a certain point it's like I am done with you biting me in the ass. I am done with you putting a knife in my back. We're over.
Yeah. No, I
People are saying
get
like
that.
yeah.
I got to tell you though, the fear of being in this country didn't start with this generation. Um, in
Oh,
my twenty
no,
in
for
my
sure.
twenties, in my twenties, we went through the Cold War, and every 10 minutes we're going, oh, we're that much more closer to nuclear war. It's a much different attitude about it now, but back then it seemed like any second somebody was going to blow somebody up. And the funny thing that always amazed me is they said, okay, if we got problems with a nuclear war, get under the desk. That's gonna fucking help. If desks
Yeah,
could protect us
you're gonna
from,
be dust. Gonna be
I
dust.
if desks could protect us from nuclear war, we should make all our buildings out of desk material because it's or black box from a plane. Why don't they just make the whole plane out of what they make the black
Yeah,
box out of?
there's an Albert Einstein quote that goes, "I know not what World War III will be fought with, but I do know that World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones." Now,
Yeah.
now hold on, because the scariest part of that is not even like the idea that the world's going to be so destroyed that people are going to be reduced to sticks and stones. The scariest thing is the idea that there is still going to be global conflict and war after something like that. That is a fucking scary thought.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny though. We have some things in position now that could either encourage a world war or keep us from a world war. And I'm talking about NATO. NATO has proved to be a
Yeah.
pretty good thing for the world at large. But if somebody is crazy enough, like Russia, to go into Poland, boom, we got a world war because every NATO country is going to be going after Russia.
Yeah.
So we're much like the Cold War. We're kind of sitting on the edge of this whole threat of World War III. I don't see it coming anytime soon, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I don't
I mean, I
either.
know we're at risk, but people say a lot of things. But I think people on the upper levels are terrified of this because once they do that, everything that they hold powerful and dear is gone anyway. So it's like it has to be somebody who's given up on the world and ready to die. And I don't think they're like
Yeah,
that.
I don't think so either. The resolve is also a big part of it because the resolve is like more of like a commitment to the old alliances that this country has had. Like we've always been allies with Canada. We've always been neighbors. We've always been brothers. I really, really, really want to honor that and show my commitment to honoring that. I Another big part of it is giving the middle finger to Trump and MAGA and the far right who want to
Right.
burn all bridges with the rest of the world. It's like you know if it's between this country with you fucks running it and Canada, I know which side I'm choosing, and it ain't yours.
Well, I'd even consider moving to the Bahamas because they told Donald Trump to fuck off when he wanted to send them to deportees, and they said, "Nah, we're not doing that."
That's that's true, but I would stick out like a sore thumb there. It's it's easier to fit in and integrate in Canada, I feel like.
So you thought to
That's
yourself, "I'm a pasty faced white boy. Let's go where there's a bunch of other pasty faced white boys," and that would be Canada.
I could have
Maybe.
gone with England, but I feel like I feel like they would have picked me out fairly easily. But also, it's not just about that. I do have friends that live in Canada. I brought this up before. Friends from International People's College in Denmark, which they had people from all over the world.
Right.
I have family up there. I do have some relatives up there, and I actually just found this out today. Um, about 18 years ago, 2007, when I was 3 years old, I had the absolute honor of meeting my great grandfather Tom, and he was a veteran in World War II. He was a veteran in the Second World War. He fought in Italy. He fought against people. He got fought against the fascists. He fought against people like, you know, the Project 2025 folks. He fought against them in Italy. And he had all these experiences. He raised a family. He did all this stuff. I just learned today, earlier today, that as awesome a man as he was, and the brief time that I knew him before he passed away, he wasn't American. He was Canadian.
Wow.
I never knew this until now. And apparently the thing was he was from like I don't know, Nova Scotia, or the maritime provinces. He was from what, like the far northeast of Canada. And I never found this out until today.
So you got a little Canadian blood in you. You've got a little legacy
Yeah.
working for you.
Yeah, I do. Not enough to get, maybe not enough to win any points on the citizenship test, but definitely enough to be like, yeah, I kind of got roots here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've got history in Sweden, and Sweden is looking pretty good right now compared to what we're
Yeah.
dealing with.
Um, you know, Nice meatballs, cool people. They have gone a little bit to the right though recently, so you don't want to watch out for that.
Yeah, and they're a little stoic for my taste. My
Yeah.
grandparents were Swedish. And they weren't quite as stoic. They were born in this country, but their parents were born overseas in the old country. So, how long would you have to be in college? How long do you think you're going to be in college in Canada when you do this? Is it 4 years?
2 to 3 years. 2 to
Okay.
3 years, maybe more because I'm transferring, so it gets a little muddy. Um, I did pick a university, by the way, that we're starting with the applications for. It's University of Alberta in Edmonton,
Wow.
in like I said,
Okay.
the province of Canada. I also wanted to. I feel like I like last time I came off with like talking a big game, but not really knowing a lot. So here's what I know about the provinces so far. Just really quick,
Sure.
my overview of all of them because I've done my research. Maritime provinces, New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia, that whole thing seems interesting. People seem nice, but so I'm told the housing market is a little unstable, and also the weather is a bit rough, even for Canada.
Yeah.
Like they get
Okay.
like they get like some hurricanes sometimes and stuff like that. Um, Quebec. So from what I've heard, it's one of the best provinces to live in if you speak French.
Right.
If you
Right.
don't have that, you're screwed. Um, Ontario, pretty good. They got Toronto. They got Alpine towns. Josh Sommers from Canada, who put me onto this whole thing. My friend from IPC, he lives there. Lives in this kind of Sierra Nevadas looking town, about 2 hours from Toronto. Nice looking place. The only thing I am told though, they do have Doug Ford as their premier, which kind of bleh. And also the cost of living is pretty high in Toronto. Ottawa, I'm told though, is a nice place to be. Um, yeah, that's what I know about Ontario. Manitoba, I'm told they're the unhappiest province, and they also have like the highest violent crime rate.
Really?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know about Manitoba because apparently they don't have a very good situation going on in that regard. Saskatchewan. Um, Now I made a big stink about this last time. Um, Seems like a lot of like cornfields, a lot of like very agricultural stuff. Seems a little bit like rural America in that regard.
Hmm.
But the cities, Saskatoon, Regina, all right, I'll come out and say it. Um, I dropped myself in Google Earth in the middle of Regina, Saskatchewan. For some parts, I swear to God, I thought I was in my hometown of Petaluma. Like,
Yeah.
I looked at that and I'm like, fuck, am I home? Like it was, I could definitely get behind that. Anyway, Saskatchewan might be an interesting place. I don't know. Alberta. Now, here's the interesting part. Alberta, I'm told, is the Texas of Canada. Like this is where they got all the crazy fucks, the MAGA
Calgary.
maples. Calgary. That's an interesting thing. Is the reason why I landed on University of Alberta. Maybe settling on in there is because I'm told that you only get the crazy fucks if you go rural.
Okay.
If you're if you're in the cities, so I'm told, you're generally pretty good. Like at Edmonton, Calgary. If you're in the cities, it's like we have here. Rural is fucked up, but in the cities, you're generally pretty good.
Okay.
So there's something to be said for that. And then last is British Columbia. Beautiful place, good weather, very very liberal province, especially in Vancouver. Nanaimo, Victoria. Those are on the island of Vancouver, which is right across from Washington State. That's all good and nice. Only one thing problem that I might have: it's expensive as fuck.
Yeah.
Like it will could put you out of house and home a little bit. So that's the whole thing for the provinces. Just take a second to put that out. The territories are out, by the way. They don't have universities or colleges, so I'm told. And to be frank, some parts of them are just plain fucking uninhabitable.
Right. We're talking way north there.
Yeah, we're talking Yukon, Nunavut, Northwest Territories. It's like fuck. You couldn't even give them a name. That was it. You just Northwest Territories. That was all you could do.
Yeah. So you go up there for college. No doubt there's some process to be accepted into a college as a
Of course, of
foreigner.
course.
What happens when you complete college then? Do you stay there and work? Do you have to apply for some other visa? What do you have to do?
It's a little fuzzy. I think you stay there, apply for some kind of visa, but there's also programs that let you do like a student work permit. Like there's some things that like they offer you a path, pipelines from the school to getting a. Sorry, nose is itchy. a permit to work there after you go to school there. It's complicated. I think it varies based on the province. Like Alberta, especially, has like a really good process for that. But it's a little wobbly. It's a little thing. Anyway, the point is, once you've lived in Canada for 3 of the last 5 years of when you're like submitting your thing for citizenship, then that like qualifies you for that, and you jump through all the other hoops and such. Um, I did want to take a second to address the concerns of like some people think, I think I may have come off across as like last last time I was on the show, I feel like I was a little bit too dismissive of like people saying, oh, Canada sucks, the economy is terrible, people are moving out left and right, you don't want to come up here. I feel like I was a little bit too dismissive of like Canada's issues. It's like, no, I get you guys have issues. I get you have problems. I get, some people can't afford to live. Housing is up like crazy, this and that and the other thing. This is what I'm going to say to that. I hear you. I realize you have issues. I realize you got your own problems that you're working out. Here's my thing. I would rather be, you know, struggling with difficulty, adversity, poor people problems in Canada than I would down here.
No, I
You
get
got,
that. I mean, the thing about it is these problems that these Canadians say they have, this is everywhere. You're not really going to
oh
go to a
yeah,
country
it's
where you
it's it's
don't run into
absolutely
that.
everywhere. People want to talk about one thing I noticed is like there was a lot of even Canadians have been talking about this. Some people are like, "Oh, housing is up like crazy. Oh, nobody can afford to live in the cities anymore." It's like some other people are like, no, our prices are about hitting the same as other cities worldwide. It's just that housing has been affordable for us for so many years because we've blown off all these other issues that we thought we had it really well, or we thought we were doing okay. And then the instant we're on the same level as everybody else, we think it sucks. It's because everywhere else sucks. We've just managed it better.
Yeah,
So,
I think I've
yeah,
said in the United States, prices are high. I will grant you that, but I don't think that's the real problem. The problem
right.
is nobody can earn a decent living. We've got corporate America pulling back on paying people a living wage. And if you're not getting paid a living wage, it doesn't matter what this shit costs. It's too expensive. How does that look in Canada? Do they pay people better up there for your normal job?
Um, I've had mixed things on that. In some places, yes. In some places, you can make some good money. Other places, not so much. The taxes are higher. I have heard that. But considering what you get out of that, like good public programs, good healthcare, all that, I
Yeah,
don't
there you
know.
go.
That seems pretty good. I mean, I would rather live in, I'd rather live in Canada and be paying higher taxes, being working harder for maybe not as much money than I would living in Florida where they don't pay you jack shit anyway. You got fucking toxic waste paving the roads. The whole state is sinking into the fucking ocean. And,
You're paying a
you,
thousand a month for health insurance.
yeah, and you got gators and hurricanes and shit like that. It's like I really just want to sum up this whole thing by saying like I'm not trying to say that Canada doesn't have issues. You do. I get that. The issues down here are worse, but most importantly, you guys have honor and morals, and we clearly do not have that down here. And I
Yeah.
am really, really longing for some of that.
Well, when you talk about moving to Canada, you're not talking about economic issues as much as you're talking about cultural issues. And the cultural
Yeah, it's
issues
it's
in
the
this
cultural
country are fucked
bullshit.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's people trying to start all this stuff about oh that's woke, oh this is oh this is oh these trans people, oh those gay people, oh those people of other race, oh these people of that religion. It's like just fucking shut up.
Yeah.
Just
Uh,
just admit that you're not the only people in the world.
well, here's the thing is that they complain about this wokeness. And I asked them to define woke, and they can't define woke. I'll define woke in what I believe it to be. I believe that woke and decency are synonymous. That's basically all it is.
Absolutely.
Treat
Absolutely.
people the way you want to be treated. And they say that woke is bad because we've got to treat marginalized groups the same as we white people. And that's a problem. And it's about
It
marginalizing these people and creating fear because they're taken away from the white guy.
this let me put this out there just my message to the people that are acting like this. Equality for someone else does not mean oppression for you. You
Right.
think the world is a fucking cake and that someone else getting a bigger slice is taking away from yours. That's not how it works. It's not like that. It never has been. You just think that because you're having your privileges, because you're privileged, you just think that because someone else is getting the same privileges as you, that your rights or whatever are somehow being taken away. They are not. You just want yours and fuck everybody else. And for that, I say, fuck you.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing over and above the stupidity in this country, the selfishness in this country is absolutely amazing. And I don't know how you can be selfish if you grow up, get married, have kids. The whole selfishness thing's got to go out the window because I will tell you this, you don't know this yet, but if you have kids or grandkids, if I'm sitting in my kitchen and we're going to eat and there's only enough food for a couple people, my kids are eating first and I'll wait. You can't be selfish in this world and get by because you're going to just feed yourself and you're going to die alone. I know people who have done it. And so I don't know where this selfishness comes from other than the Republicans repeating, oh, they're getting one over on you, and people believing it.
Yeah. It's people believe in worshiping the fucking rich. Um this I have this a couple more things to say about Canada and like why I've chosen this path and like, the logistics and stuff of getting there. I have to say this about Canada. Canada, you okay. I was contacted by some of my friends at IPC through the WhatsApp
Mhm.
chat who saw I sent them the episode after I recorded it, and one of the guys, I think it might have been Josh Summers, or I think it might have been like he came in one day with a friend of his from Canada who was only there for like one day at this school in Denmark, and then he left. I think it
Mhm.
was him. He said, looking at this, you're a smart guy, you got all this stuff going on. If you decide to put political science in your college path, and you decide to do all this stuff, you go the full Canadian citizenship path, all of that, you could totally run for a member of for an office in Parliament. And I mean, fuck, I'd vote for you. He said.
Yeah.
And to that I have to say, I don't know if I'd be a good politician because I always love to make the joke. I'd have to sell my soul and morals first. It's like, but yeah, I mean, I kind of could see that, but at the same time, I don't know if you want my sort of subtle Americanish culturalness infecting your politics. I don't know if you want that.
Yeah, people have said that to me. They say, you should run for an office. And I go, I'd be a horrible politician. Don't listen to shit, hate fucking meetings. I will say what's on my mind. And that's always works against
Yeah.
a politician. I think I'm better served as somebody on the outside trying to stir some shit and trying to create some noise in the narrative. My problem with going into politics would be politics are so big, government's so big, I can't help but become part of the problem. And I can't help
Oh yeah.
but
Oh
have
yeah.
50% of the country of people that would be my constituents hate me. And
Yeah.
I don't mind 50% of the people hate me as long as they're fucking Republicans. They can hate me all day long. But I politics is a fucked up business. And
Yeah.
the only way it's
It's one big clusterfuck.
kind of like college football. The only way you can win is if you cheat. And I'm not ready to lower to myself to that standard.
Yeah, that's I just have a quick joke. It's like I've never understood college football scholarships. It's like, what are these people going to major in? CTE? Like,
Yeah.
what are they going to major in? Fucking brain damage? Like, it's fucking sad.
Well, it is sad. When I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, I played football. I loved football. I wanted my kids to play football, and they did. They weren't really, they were big guys, over 6'2" and over 200 pounds. They had every reason to be good football players, but they lacked one thing. They lacked the one thing I did have. I was smaller, but when I played football, I was a fucking nut. I could turn on a switch and be just an animal. These guys couldn't. They didn't have that in them. And in retrospect, I'm glad they weren't good football players because if you watch pro football or college football, it seems like every day somebody's out for the season. It wasn't like
Yeah,
that
it's
back in the
yeah.
70s. You wonder if we've gotten to a point where it's become too dangerous and it's like the Roman gladiator where somebody's going to get seriously injured or died every time you go out in the field. And if that's the case, I'm worried about it. So, that said, I'm going to watch Monday night when the Vikings play. So,
That's true. Another thing I'm thinking about, like somebody's like, well, if you have to, if you're gonna move to Canada, be a citizenship there, you gotta do all this work stuff. You gotta jump through all these hoops and everything. At the same time, I'm like, I don't know, 2, 3 years is a long time, and I don't know. You never know. I could meet a nice Canadian girl, and
there
they
you
do
go.
offer they do offer citizenships if via the spousal path. So who knows? I mean, the girl from the girl from Canada at IPC, Mo Axe from Vancouver. Fuck, I almost asked her out. I
Yeah.
mean, now I kind of wish that I had, because maybe I would have had an easier path out of this mess.
Well, yeah, yeah. That's the thing. Way you see things is much different than most of us, me and people listening to the show, because we're older. We're in our 40s, 50s, 60s. We're on the downside of our lives. Some of us have already finished our careers. You're at the beginning part of it. You have different things to think about. I remember when I moved down to northern Arizona, I was 19 years old. And I thought, I could go down there and end up getting married and staying there for the rest of my life. I thought that was a possibility, because I dated here in Minnesota. I had girlfriends and some of them serious. Thought, I'm going to go down there for a year, year and a half. Who knows what's going to happen? Then when I got down there, and the majority of the young women down there were Mormons, I thought,
Oh
yeah, I'm
fuck
not ready
that.
to. I'm not ready to buy into that. I think I'll just go home and drink beer.
Yeah, no. The reason I could totally see me getting a whole into the Canadian culture. Maybe meet a nice girl, get married, possibly even start a family. I have met, the people that I met that were from Canada at IPC, except Frederic, who was from Quebec. If you did not know where they were from, if they hadn't told you where they were from, you would swear to God they were from the West Coast. Like they
Really?
were, yeah. And I'm not talking about like just oh, they're American. Like no, they were like, you got the feeling like they were full on West Coast leftists. I mean, they
Really?
were very, yeah, they were very, very progressive. They were very progressive. They were very liberal. Well, I mean, when I say very, very progressive, I mean like very progressive compared to here. Maybe not that much compared to Canada, because Canada is very much to the left of us. But like, no matter, you got the feeling off of them that like no matter who you were or where you came from, they could just get you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they could just understand you and you'd be totally cool. And I
I
and
know
I
some.
for one thing, I crave that.
Yeah. Yeah. I know some Canadian people over the years, and every one of them's been very nice folks, very intelligent, very nice folks, and I can
Yeah.
understand the draw to go to some place that's a little calmer, maybe a little safer, and
Yeah.
people of a like mind. I mean, I live in Minnesota. I live in a town that's probably half and half Trump-fucks um, and liberals. The liberals talk to me. The Republicans don't talk to me. Some of
Well,
them
then
know
you
what I
would you
do.
bite their heads off.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I'm not your regular libtard where you can bully me, because if you're an asshole, I'll be a bigger asshole. My wife will attest to that. But you you got to do what you got to do to start your life. This is an important time for a young man. I always tell my kids, I said, look, you just got to get on the path. You got to get on the path and keep going forward. There'll be some hurdles, there'll be some problems. You'll come to some forks in the road. Don't think about it too much. Just do what you got to do. And somehow, some way, I found this out. You will probably end up in a place you didn't expect to end up. But when you end up there, you will realize this is where I needed to come. It's almost like a destiny, a predetermined destiny. You get on the path. As long as you're on the path, if you sit stagnant and do nothing, nothing will ever happen. But just keep moving forward. Take the opportunities when you're confronted with them, and don't worry about what's going to happen 5 years from now, because there's no way you could know.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I see that. I can understand that. Um, somebody, I have heard. I did want to say, I feel like I really just need to bring my whole like thing about people telling me, "Oh, don't go to Canada. Oh, it's not going to be a utopia. This, that, and the other thing."
Well, it's not,
I had,
but so what?
I don't know. Of course, it's not. I've had somebody say like, if you are looking for to like just get by in a relatively safe and relaxed space, Canada's for you. And I'm like, fuck,
Yeah,
put my name first on the list. Sign me the fuck up for that right now.
absolutely. Yeah, no, I get that. I get that completely. And let me now, when you go up there, we talk about the healthcare in Canada, and the healthcare is obviously very good, very inexpensive. It's free. Um, did did as a foreigner in the country, as a immigrant, if you will, um, how does that healthcare tie into what you do? Just by virtue of you being in Canada, do you get health coverage, or is it something different because you're not a citizen?
It's messy. I think if you're going to a school there, you do get it. Like, you get it through the school because the school's
Right,
part of the state.
right.
Um, I think you also have to like be I think if you're going to work there, you also have to like be paying taxes, and then like you get it because you're paying taxes. Um, it's messy. It's complicated. Um, I really wanted to say to the people out there is like, oh, I hope you realize this place isn't a utopia. You can't just go up here and expect all this stuff. I know it's not a utopia. I know there's going to be points where it's ugly. I know there's going to be points where it's unpleasant. I know there's going to be rough patches. I'm, I would rather be roughing it in a place that has decency, morals, and a whole lot less noise than stay here and put up with all this just endless bullshit. That's what I have
Well,
to say about that bit.
and here's where young people are probably don't realize it. Um, what you just stated, ugly, difficult, problematic, hurdles to jump over, that's not
Yeah.
indicative of a country. That's indicative of fucking life. Because I got to tell you,
Yep.
life is fucking hard. You got to
Yeah.
persevere and push through, and you're going to have some tough times no matter where you live, no matter who you are, no matter how much money you got. You're going to go through some shit. The test is, do you have the resolve to push through the stuff and come out the other side? And if you have that, doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah, I have to agree. Somebody made a joke about, life is fucking awful. It's a horrible thing to live through. You literally do not come out of it alive. And I
True.
have to laugh at that.
Life isn't horrible. I mean, some people would say that based on how their life has turned out. Um, but there are horrible parts of it. There are difficult, like I told you before we went on. People will say all hope is lost, the sky is falling, and I've said this before. As a 64-year-old man, having remember when I was 20, I've gone through every trial, tribulation, tragedy, horrible shit, things that happened to me that I never thought I'd survive. Yet here I sit at 64, relatively comfortable and very happy with my life. So it can be done. It can be done. And it will be
Oh,
done
yeah,
if you approach
absolutely.
things properly.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Yeah, just really
You'll be
quick, I wanted to
fine.
get out. Yeah, yeah, I will. Some people have been wondering about like the process to get into a Canadian university, like the SATs and stuff. I was gonna go straight into like it's a complicated program. It's like a work for people with disabilities.
Mhm.
I was gonna go into that after high school. So I didn't. I don't know why, but I never took the SAT for some reason. Probably should have done that, but I didn't. Um, the good news is that not a lot of Canadian universities seem to care about. Well, I shouldn't say not a lot, but the only Canadian universities that seem to care about the SAT that much, there's conflicting information about it, but this is the general consensus. The only ones that really seem to care about it are like McGill University, like the Harvards of Canada, the really
Right.
really like top end, really prestigious schools. Everywhere else, they don't really. It doesn't really seem to matter that much. It'll earn you points on the application card, but it's not required. The biggest thing they seem to care about is this thing called the The IELTS, I think it is. It's basically it's an English language test for international students, and they always, determine how you can get into the country based on how you do on that test. And, I mean, if it's an English language, fuck, I am going to ace that shit. All I need to do is
Yeah,
just
there you
take
go.
it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That
And
shouldn't be hard.
I suppose that's for people coming in from foreign countries who don't speak the language, which
Yeah.
would make it impossible to to go to college. How is the cost of college there? I mean, one of the biggest problems we have in this country is that it's almost getting to the point, unless you're becoming a doctor, a lawyer, or something professional like that, it isn't even financially reasonable to go spend fifty to $100,000 a year for 4 years of college to get a $30,000 a year job. That makes no
Yeah.
financial sense. That's not a good investment. And I know some
Well,
people will debate me on that, but fuck that. It's my show. I said it and I'll
right.
stand by it.
Let's let's put the cost of the average school in the average college in the US at like 50 to 100,000 or maybe more dollars, say.
For 4 years.
For well, maybe no, per year.
Okay. Is
Or
that
or
really?
maybe per or maybe for 4 years. It's fuzzy, it's complicated.
It depends on where you're
The
going. If you're going to a state,
Yeah,
a university in the state like UMD here, it's probably 15 grand a year. So you're at 60
yeah.
grand for 4 years, but it's a lot of money.
The average all I know is it's a lot less all I know is it's a pretty penny.
Mm-hmm.
The average Canadian university costs about 36,000 Canadian dollars a year, which is about 25,000 US dollars a year.
Okay.
That's not bad, and the quality of education they offer is on par or sometimes even above that of schools here in the States that cost two or three or four times that.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Now, how do you pay for that? I mean, do you get
I
loans
think
like we do down here?
I think there's like an exchange process or like you move funds to a Canadian bank. I don't know all the details, but it's like something like that. Like there's an exchange process. I fuck, I'd have to talk to my parents or like a financial expert to know how it all works. But what I do know is that it is overall less expensive to go to college in Canada than it is basically everywhere except maybe like PUC is the closest place to me. I could go to college there basically for free. The only reason I'm not doing that is because I don't really want to go to school right next to where I grew up because it's like, well, fuck. I mean, the point of college is to get out and get new experiences, see the world and shit, right?
Right.
And also, if I go to college in Canada, that is a huge step forward towards my ultimate plan, which is to fucking move there. So
Yeah.
ideally, I'd want to do that.
Yeah. And I think traveling and seeing the world is an important part of education as anything. I know when my kids were young, we took a trip every year. Even when we really couldn't afford it, we took a trip every year to a different city in the United States. We went to Puerto Rico, we went to Colorado, Denver, we went to San Antonio, we went to New York City, we went to Boston. One of the things that you don't have just by virtue of your age is you don't have a lot of life experiences, at least in comparison to somebody older. So I think
I haven't been
travel
nowhere
gives
though.
you life experiences. Well, no, I know that. Yeah, you've been to Amsterdam.
No, I never went to Amsterdam. Funnily enough, I went to Denmark. I went
Oh,
to
okay.
I went to England a couple times. I went to Scotland. I went to Wales briefly. I've been to New Zealand. I've been to
So you're pretty well
Mexico.
traveled.
Yeah, I'm fairly well traveled. I do have to say. The one place I never went though that I've always wanted to go is, like I said before, well, Canada. And
You've never been to
what better
Canada.
way? No, I haven't. And what better way to experience it than through a nice, couple year college experience, which you're sure you're studying and you're doing school shit, but you also get an opportunity to meet the people, experience the culture, go to the restaurants, and spend the rest of your time, silently crying while eating cup of noodles in the corner while banging out your test or whatever.
So you going to Canada to live and go to school is akin to meeting a chick online that doesn't have a picture and you're just going to meet her someplace. Let's hopeful. Let's hope it turns out better than that
Jesus fucking
scenario.
Christ. Jesus Christ. I had a feeling that something like that was going to come up at some point. I'm so glad you broke that glass ceiling there.
Nope, no problem. That's what I'm here for. No, but you know, when you're a young man, it's the time to take chances. I mean, when you're older and have a wife and kids, you can't take chances. You got to be solid and you got to take care of the family. You don't have that. So to take the
No, I
risks
don't.
now is the good thing and travel like you have. That gives you the life experiences you need to go on and be successful. So you're on the right track.
Yeah. Yeah, I am. And look. Oh, I think I hear my family just got home. Um
Well, we're coming
my
to the end anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Above and beyond, this much I'm going to say, as long as the fat orange pustule is in office, I am going to sit out 4th of July. Or maybe I'll just like sit and just, maybe kind of watch the fireworks, but I'm not going to be very patriotic because I don't have faith in my own country anymore. Like I said, I am leaving my country because my country has left me. I am going to celebrate the fuck out of Canada Day, I will say.
Good for you.
Above and beyond, even after I'm like, going to college in Canada, becoming a citizen, moving in there, I will never ever not be an ally of the American left, of the progressive, maybe not the progressives, but like the woke folks, the good folks, the sensible folks, the people that, people like you, people like Old Soul, people like Will, people like Ed, Jace, fuck,
Don't forget Eric.
if I, Eric too, I mean, if I count all the names I just dropped, it's crazy.
Well,
Oh yeah,
I will tell you this. Next year we'll probably be celebrating Drone November and December, so that will be fun.
Jesus. Yeah. Oh, and I do have a message. Like, tell this to the folks in the red states from me. First of all, if you can, if it's at all possible, get out because you never know. I don't trust any state with a Republican governor or just a majority of dumb fucks.
Yeah.
Above all, tell Will to tell Will above all, you know, take a deep breath, maybe seek some help if he needs it. Um, I just I'm worried for Will's mental health. I really, really am, and I just want to make sure that if he needs help, he gets it. So be sure to tell him that from me. If he needs
Well,
help, go get it.
Will's a pretty solid guy, and he's
I knew that.
pretty focused. But I know what you're saying. I mean, he's in a unique position. I live in Minnesota, and I'm a big dumb white guy, so I don't have a lot to worry about for myself. I'm not worried for myself. I'm worried about other people. And Will would be one of those people. He's a Latino man sitting in Georgia. Now, I know there's good parts of Georgia and there's rough parts of Georgia, so I'm concerned for him and anybody else living in those types of situations. The good news is, with people like Old Soul and other people in this audience, there's a lot of help to be had should it be needed. So I feel good in knowing
Absolutely.
that if somebody needs help, there'll be some support for him
Yeah.
and
Um,
anybody.
yeah. I know we're coming up on the end here, but I know in the long run of it, I probably don't have a lot to worry about. I mean, like, look at me. I'm a young white guy sitting in California. Like, how
Yeah.
bad can it possibly be? Um, if anything, I really, really want to do the whole Canada thing, moving there, becoming a citizen, that whole shtick, because I want to have free reign to shout at these idiots from the sidelines, hey, you guys are fucked up, and I'm out here calling your asses out for it. What are you gonna do? And then what can they do? Like, I mean, I'm sitting in a university house, whatever else, up in a sovereign country to the north, and probably behind a VPN while I'm at it. It's like, what are you gonna do? You're not gonna get me.
Well, it's ironic because as you say that, I understand that as a young man, but here I sit in the middle of the fucking country doing the very same thing on a platform with a lot of people listening.
Well,
So
that
I may
that
have a
sounded
target on my
insanely
back,
tone deaf.
but I may have a target by some of these people, but they don't fucking scare me. They're
Yeah.
they're cowards and they're pieces of shit, and I'm not worried about them at all. Well, Jay, I want to thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. I know
Yeah,
people
no
enjoy
problem.
hearing from you. It's great getting a perspective from the younger side of things. Um, and I'm not worried about you at all. I
Yeah,
think you got your head on straight. I think you know what
of
you're
course.
doing. I think over the next 5 to 10 years, you'll probably make mistakes, but that's by virtue of your
Oh, I know
age
I'm
and
gonna make so
inexperience.
many fucking mistakes.
But don't be afraid to make the mistakes or the wrong choices. And I will tell you one other thing: be decisive and don't be afraid to make the wrong decision
Absolutely.
because that's the best way to learn.
I wanted to, last thing before we sign off, I wanted to make sure to give my happy holidays, well wishes, stay safe, all of that to all your other guests from me, because
Thank you.
I'm part of this community now. I want you to give them my best well wishes, my best. I'm concerned for you. I'm here to hear you out if you need it. A part of this community now. We're all holding each other up. So you tell them all that from me.
I will, and they will because they'll no doubt be here, be listening to this. I just hope that in 2 years from now you come on the show and you don't come on and say Canada, these crazy motherfuckers. I'm moving to Borneo. Fuck this.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that. In all likelihood, I'll probably be talking with a whacked out fucking accent. Probably have a hockey game going in the background. Random moose looking in the dorm window just because. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll make you the third Mackenzie brother. That's an old reference you probably won't get.
I'm
But
just like, who is that?
there's an old comedy team that the Mackenzie
Of
brothers,
course
and
there is.
they did a cable
Look up the
TV show.
Frantics.
The
Look up the
Frantics.
Frantics. Yeah, the Canadian horror troupe, funny as fuck. You'll love them. But yeah, that's just a thing. That's your homework. Until next
All
time,
right.
is look up the Frantics. Look up some of their sketches. You will love them. You'll love them.
I will check it out. Well, thank you very much, Jay. Stay in touch. We'll probably have you on again in the not too distant future
All right.
because you're a young man
Peace
that
out,
has a lot to
folks.
say, and we appreciate the
West Coast hip as
opportunity
hell,
to
y'all.
hear. All right. For those listening, thank you for taking the time. I hope you have a great day. And of course, we'll talk to you tomorrow.